This is an informational vodcast recorded in regard to the surplus process for special areas. This has been recorded on February 21st, 2008. My name is Chris Mays and I'm the president of PVEA. What I want to do here is describe to you how the surplusing process occurs with specials, because it's a bit of a mixture between how elementary school is done in the surplus and how high school and middle school is done, since we're basically looking at 5 different departments inside one category. At the elementary school, specials are their own category, which means the teachers inside of there become one inclusive group, not mixed in with the other K-6 teachers in regard to surplus. Presently, we have 5 areas of specials. Music in no particular order: music, art, PE, library and media, depending how you term yourself, and computers. The interesting part of this mix is that only 3 of these areas require that you have an endorsement. They would be music, art, and the district requires that there be a PE certification. There is no certification, though some of you may have, or endorsement. Some of you may have that in library. It's not required in media because there is not one at the state level. And computers, because there is not a state level certification or endorsement, none of the teachers have that either. So in these 3 areas, it kind of changes the mix. Up until Thursday, February 7th, the district had a position that you would staff 4 of these at least a .5 in music, art, PE, library, and media. Most schools have a computers position as well, and that is in addition to what you're given in specials, and that total is what's being looked at in regard to surplus. There are some schools who function with a tech or an aide who runs the library or the media center. That's a school's choice in how they do things. After February 7th, there was a concern for a little bit that there was a change in the position on how this would be done. By Monday, February 11th, the district stood by the fact that there was a tacit expectation that there would be .5 staffed in all of these areas, but the principal's decision would ultimately prevail in regard to how this was done. The principal was to make this decision with contact with the site council, and there is a teacher at each one of the elementary schools who does sit on site council, and that is the choice of the teaching staff on who sits on that committee. In any case, what happens if there is a surplus inside the special areas? And let's use the example that a staff has to surplus a .5 in their special areas. The principal is to go back to site council and discuss where is that cut going to happen. A lot of schools carry a 1.0 in a certain area, and so that may be the first place where direction is put, because if you put if you take a 1.0 position and reduce it by .5, you're still going to have .5 there. If you notice here, you have to pay very close attention when it comes to surplusing when you start looking at the teacher who's teaching that in regard to certification. So in the case that you cut .5 library and media, that position would have to go into that there is no requirement to have a certification or an endorsement in regard to library and media. So any K-6 certified or library endorsed person can go into that position. Not the case with music, art, and PE. These people, their certifications are tied to the position that they have. So if there's a smart schools position inside of here, or a rehired retired, or an interim who right now holds the certificate in these, they cannot be considered in the .5 surplus. Then you're only looking at the people inside these 2 positions, and then if there's not a volunteer, it would then go to who has in-district seniority. Please remember, there is no such thing as site seniority. It's a misnomer. It is all based on in-district seniority, no matter how many years you've been inside the district or at that site. It is in-district seniority that reigns in this case. So that is why a smart schools person may stay in one of these 3 positions, and one of these 2 people may be surplused. In the case that you are surplusing perhaps in PE, art, or music, then you would be looking at a Smart Schools person first inside any one of those categories, or any one of those areas. Please remember that the names for the surplus draft are due by Friday, February 22nd, so that we are able to then show who is going to be in the surplus draft. And if someone is surplus 0.5 in these positions, a regularly contracted teacher as opposed to Smart Schools or rehired retireds, those teachers would be able to go into the surplus round of the draft to be able to complete their 1.0 with another 0.5, or to potentially find a 0.5 and another 0.5 and surplus what they have at a school to create a 1.0, or to wait until they can be placed. And what would occur is if a regularly contracted person in computers cannot find a position, then it is incumbent upon the district to take a look across the district in the case that there is a Smart Schools person or a rehired retired or an interim contract in any one of the elementary sites, for that person to have to resign part of their position and for a regularly contracted employee to go into it. Hopefully that assists with further information. The points to remember is that there are 5 areas. The expectation of the district is this, though they cannot require it of the principals. It is a site-based decision, with the final decision being made by the principal. Please be understanding about how the certifications work inside of here, since 3 need to have the certifications and 2 do not. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me on the district email. Thanks.